Do you still work in Dayton?
I do.
At the time you went to the Reed residence, you did not know the occupants?
I did not.
Since then, have you ever met or spoke to William Reed
Nope.
or the defendant?
Nope.
When you went there that day, it was at the request of the state police?
Correct.
When they asked you to come, it's a typical procedure for one law enforcement agency to contact local law enforcement agency?
Correct.
And part of the reason they do that is to bring in separate and independent law enforcement officer to the scene?
Yes.
Because it's your jurisdiction?
Correct.
And they called you before they got to Mr. Reed's house, didn't they?
Yes.
They told you what they were going to do and when they were going to do it?
Yes.
They didn't just show up at the Reed house and then you found out later. They invited you and informed you what the process was going to be.
I wouldn't say that they told me what the process was going to be.
When you got there, were the troopers already there or did they arrive after you?
The troopers were there.
Were they in the house or outside of the house when you got there?
They were outside in a pickup truck.
Did you see them get out of the pickup truck after you got there?
They got out after I identified themselves.
Did you ever see them approach and touch the rear taillight of the defendant's Lexus?
I did not.
Did you ever see them manipulate in any way that rear taillight of the defendant's Lexus?
I did not.
Did you see them do anything that was suspicious, inordinary, or unfairly remarkable relative to that car?
I did not.
When they spoke to you, they then went inside the house?
What do you mean by spoke to me?
After they introduced you, you introduced yourself to them, they went into the Reed house?
Yes.
And then they came out?
They came out much later.
And that vehicle was towed?
Correct.
At no time from when you got there until you left did you see anybody from the state police in any way tamper with that vehicle, did you?
I did not.
When the vehicle was towed, do you know how long it took to take the vehicle from Dayton back to Canton?
How long?
Yes.
I do not.
You didn't escort it back.
I did not.
You had an opportunity to write a report in this case, didn't you?
I did.
And when you did, you had an opportunity to describe the damage to that taillight in any way you wanted to.
I did.
You could have gone into detail about size of the damage.
I could have.
You could have gone into detail about the shape of the damage.
I could have.
You could have gone into detail about the width of the damage.
I could have.
You could have taken photographs of the damage if you wanted to.
I could have.
In fact, there was no limitation on what you could have written in your report regarding the damage, was there?
No.
You write reports regularly, don't you?
I do.
You're trained at the academy. It's the best way to memorialize events.
Correct.
Because in time, your memory is not always as good later on than it is at that moment.
Correct.
What might be important or remarkable later might not be remarkable at the time you're making the observation.
Correct.
So you're taught at the academy to use as much detail as you can so that you can have an accurate memory later on.
Correct.
Because oftentimes, well, you respond to a number of different events and incidents, don't you?
I do.
You write a lot of reports.
Not necessarily now in this position that I'm in, but
Did you at the time?
at the time, correct.
Yeah. And so it's sometimes difficult to remember the details of all events, and you use the report to refresh your memory.
Correct.
When you wrote your report, and you could have put as much detail as you wanted, is it fair to say you only wrote one single line about the damage to the car?
Correct.
The vehicle had damage to the right rear taillight.
That's what I wrote.
Fair to say you didn't document that it was the size of a dollar bill. You didn't say that, did you?
No.
Or that it was 3 to 6 inches. You didn't mention that, did you?
No.
You didn't mention the placement of where the damage was.
To an extent, I did the right rear tail light.
Right rear taillight. You didn't indicate if it was on the side or on the back.
I did not.
You didn't provide any other details of your description when your memory was probably at its best. True?
True.
And would you agree that your memory that day was probably much more accurate than it is today?
I would not.
When you wrote the report, did you ever have an opportunity to write a supplement report if you wanted to give more detail?
I guess I could.
You didn't.
I did.
Inevitably, you were a witness at trial. I'm sorry, you were a witness at a prior proceeding in this case, weren't you?
Correct.
You came in and you swore under oath regarding your memory.
Correct.
And that was probably a year to a year and a half after you first made the observations which you reduced in writing in the police report.
Correct.
And when you made those observations, that was on January 29, 2022?
Correct.
When you came into court and you testified, that was on June 10, 2024.
If that was the date.
You were asked questions to use your best memory to describe the damage to that taillight last time you swore under oath to tell the truth, weren't you?
I don't think I was asked that.
What were you asked about to describe the best you could the damage to that right rear taillight last time you were in court on June 10, 2024?
I don't think I was told to describe it in depth.
Were you asked questions about the damage to that rear taillight last time you were in court?
I was.
And when you described the damage, did you do your best of your ability to give as much detail as possible?
I did.
Did you qualify your memory at that time, saying to the best of my ability and recollection?
I did.
And when you qualify as a police officer with the best ability and recollection, that is recognizing that time had passed,
Time has passed, yep.
that you had a report, that you could refresh your memory.
Correct.
And did you refresh your memory with that report before you testified last time?
I did.
And when you qualified that it was to the best of your ability and recollection, that account for the fact that when you looked at the report, there was no detail other than your commentary in your report that the vehicle had damage to the right rear taillight.
Correct.
And so when you qualified, you were considering human factors like time had passed,
Correct.
that your report was respectfully scant,
Correct.
that you had heard a lot about this case since that point, hadn't you?
Correct.
And so considering your memory in June of 2024, when you qualified your answer, was it considering all of those different factors that had passed in between that time?
Can you rephrase that?
Yes. When you decided to qualify your answer and you said to the best ability and recollection, and then you went on to describe what you remember from the break of the taillight, is the reason why you used that qualification for the best ability and recollection, is it because of those human factors that had passed?
I would suppose so.
And sir, since the time you came into court on June 10, 2024, have you spoken to anybody from the defense about this case?
Yes.
How many times have you spoken to somebody from the defense about this case after you gave your testimony on June 10, 2024?
Once.
Where did you speak to? Who did you speak to?
Attorney Jackson.
Did you speak to him in person or on the phone?
In person.
Okay, don't. Okay. You're not hesitating, are you?
No.
Where did you speak to him in person?
At his hotel.
How did you know where Attorney Jackson was staying?
He told me.
Did you find it odd to go visit an attorney at their hotel and talk about a case?
It was in their conference room.
Find it odd. Go to somebody's hotel to speak to them about a case.
No.
Without saying the name of the hotel, where was the hotel located?
Boston.
And where were you located?
I don't feel comfortable telling you.
I'm sorry. Did you have to drive?
I did.
So you took the effort to go to see Mr. Jackson at his request. Did you know who Mr. Jackson was?
I did.
Did you see him on TV?
I did.
When you went there to the hotel in the conference room, who else was there?
Attorney Little.
Okay. Who else?
I'm not sure of the other gentleman's name.
It was one of the gentlemen right here on the end?
The
The good-looking one down there on the right?
No, it was not.
Somebody else?
Somebody else.
Okay. Was there anybody else there?
No.
When you were in that conference room, were you shown your police report?
No.
Were you shown your testimony from last time you came into court?
No.
The photograph of the vehicle in Sally Port, or the vehicle with the missing glass, were you shown that?
No.
Had you ever seen that photo before?
Of course.
And you saw it at the last event you testified at, right?
Correct.
And when you were shown that photo during your prior testimony, you never, ever ever suggested that that was in any way different than what you had seen in Dayton?
Nobody asked me that.
When you were asked to describe the damage, and you were shown that photograph, you never, ever suggested that there was a difference in the damage as you see it in that photo compared to what you remember, did you?
I don't think anybody asked me to describe that.
Did you ever make a note or say anything that is dissimilar to what you remember at the last event that you testified at?
I testified that that was not the taillight the day that I saw it.
That's what you testified at the last event?
Did.
Yes?
Yes.
You said that photo does not depict what you saw?
Correct.
Yes?
Yes.
And when you testified to that at the last event, who was asking you that question?
District Attorney Lally.
Okay. And you remember making that comment under oath?
I do.
Do you remember that as well as your memory about what the taillight looked like back in Dayton?
I do.
When you were asked questions about that taillight, you had described the taillight as not completely damaged, it was cracked, and there was a piece missing but not completely damaged. Remember that testimony?
I do.
And is that accurate testimony?
It's accurate.
So, in your memory, in June 10, 2024, was that vehicle's rear taillight had a piece missing, correct?
Correct.
You said that your memory about the damage to the taillight, as you recall it when you were in Dayton back on January 29, 2022, you said your memory is as good as your memory that you said in court there was a difference between that photo and the damage, right?
Right.
Have you ever read your testimony from your last proceeding?
Never.
But you have a specific memory of discussing that specific photograph? Yes?
Yes.
Any approach?
Yes.
I'm going to show you your transcript of sworn testimony on June 10, 2024. And when you reflect on your memory, understanding some time has passed, you've testified that your memory of distinguishing that photo is reflected in your testimony, right?
Objection.
So ask the question differently.
Okay. Your memory is that you discussed the distinction between that photo and what you saw at the last time you testified.
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
And as you take a look at there, could you show me anywhere in your testimony, anywhere, where you made any statement about that photo being inconsistent with what you saw in Dayton on January 29, 2022?
It's not in there.
May I approach?
Yes.
I can put it back on. Thank you. So respectfully, sir, your memory about distinguishing that photo is not as you thought it was and claimed it was in this transcript, correct?
Correct.
And that's not a matter of you trying to fool anybody or lying, is it?
No.
No, it's a matter of time passes and memory fades. Yes?
Yes.
And that's one real example why at the academy they teach you when you write reports to be as detailed as you can. To accommodate the fact that memories can fade. Right?
Correct.
Memories can change.
I know what I saw, and that wasn't it.
Well, that's not what I'm asking you, because you just testified that under oath you had looked at that photo and distinguished it. But that's not accurate, is it?
No.
And so it's not a matter of you perjuring yourself or lying, it's a matter of difficulties with memory, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
And
Correct.
you share those same difficulties with memory as many other witnesses. Objection.
Sustained.
You have, as is human nature, difficulties with memory at times, correct?
Correct.
And so that very certain memory you had about your testimony last year, fair to say that never happened.
Correct.
You were simply mistaken, weren't you? Or something more, please tell me.
Correct.
When you met with the attorneys in Boston, what'd you talk about?
It was just a way for them to meet with me and see me face to face, and then ask me how I would be subpoenaed, who would they need to send a court summons to, what my schedule was like coming up in the next month, months.
Those things all could have been accomplished by phone, correct?
Could have.
So the face-to-face meeting, what did you talk about?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow it.
Over here. What did you talk about?
Excuse me.
So that, okay?
Over here.
To go to sidebar because Brennan said over here. Did you hear that, folks? Hank Brennan said over here. Alan Jackson was incredulous. He was like, is he telling my witness to look over here? Oh, Brennan's got him. Because Brennan thought Alan Jackson was coaching the witness. Oh, my word. That the witness had a bad memory and did not recollect accurate details about Karen Reed's broken taillight in the John O'Keefe retrial. Oh, glorious. Oh, Hank Brennan. We love you. You are a super towel. That was glorious. I cannot believe that moment just happened. The sidebar just there was glorious. Oh, goodness. 322 defense meeting at the Omni. Oh, my word, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, goodness, what a moment. Oh, moment after moment. We're going to be back in a second here. Get ready. Oh, moment after moment after moment in the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed retrial. Get ready, folks. We're about to come back into session. Hank Brennan just caught a defense witness looking over at Alan Jackson. And then Hank said, look, over here. And AJ demanded a sidebar. Moments. Scenes. Here we go.
You told us there was some background about being subpoenaed and time. Substantively, what did you talk about with the attorneys when you met them at their hotel conference?
Other than that, they didn't go over my testimony. We just spoke about that I said that the taillight was not completely damaged.
Okay. Did you get into any detail about the conversation about your testimony today?
No,
When did you meet with them?
I don't have the date.
Last year, this year?
I don't have the date. I don't recall the date.
I'm not looking for a date, just the general year frame. Last year, this year?
Probably we're in June. Early in this year,
Are you having some difficulty with memory about that as well?
on a certain date, yes.
Not a certain date. Was it this year probably? Do you think you met them this year?
This year,
Do you know what month you met them this year?
I wouldn't know the month.
Certainly you talked about this issue with the taillight, didn't you?
Yes,
When you talked about the issue with the taillight, did anybody from the defense offer you any opinions or information?
no,
Did they ask you questions about it?
no,
So you went to a meeting in a Boston hotel in a conference room, and nobody talked about the taillight? Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
they
Sir,
just.
I'll ask you another question instead. Have you had an opportunity to see other evidence of that taillight being damaged that morning before you saw it?
On the 29th of January? No.
The video that was shown to you with the tow truck, had you seen that before today?
Yes.
Who showed it to you?
From seeing it on TV, and
Was it shown to you during your conference room meeting at the hotel?
it was not.
So you looked and studied and watched this case a little bit?
With all due respect, sir, I don't live under a rock. It's all over social media and the news. You can't avoid it.
I'm not criticizing you or discounting you, I'm just asking you. Have you been exposed to this case since you made those observations in Dayton on January 29, 2022?
I have.
Have you seen other video footage and evidence about that taillight since January 29, 2022?
I have.
Have you seen other information since you last testified last summer about the taillight?
I have.
And seeing this extraneous information, this other information, do you think that played a part in some of your difficult memory? Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Okay?
Yeah, if you approach after she already allowed it, you're screwed. Oh, Hank Brennan is just destroying this witness. This witness clearly changed his testimony from the first trial, clearly met with the defense. Oh, this has gone down in flames again for the defense. You can't play, Hank Brennan. Are you some kind of fool? We're at sidebar, ladies and gentlemen, creeping towards the 4 p.m. potential end of court. Who knows where this is going to go? Ladies and gentlemen, Alan Jackson just lost, and now he wants a sidebar. It was quick. I'm going to guess he was told he lost, and now Hank Brennan's going to get to re-ask his devastating question. There's Karen Reed. I'm a towel. There's Chloe the dog in a wig. I am a towel. Hank, we know you're ready. We know you're willing. We know you are a super towel. Take it away. Come on, Mr. Brennan. The world awaits your decimation of the Karen Reed defense witness who clearly changed the story.
You've seen quite a bit of information about this case and the issue regarding the taillight since you first made the observations back in 2022. Wouldn't that be fair to say?
It would be fair to say.
And based on all the additional information you've read and seen, would you agree it's had some effect on your memory?
I guess.
No, I don't want you to guess. You testified that you made explanations at the last trial that you didn't make, right?
Correct.
You had a memory as you testified in direct examination under oath, and you tried your best about things that just didn't happen, right?
Right.
Would you agree that you have some difficulty with your memory?
I'd agree.
I want to show you some evidence of that taillight before you had a chance to see it in Dayton. If we could have the ring video at 5:07:58, please. Have you seen this video before, sir?
I have.
Okay. Before you proceed, Ms. Gomez, have you seen this on social media?
The news, social media.
Has anybody else shown you this video?
No.
How many times do you think you've been exposed to this video?
Too many to count.
Because you were involved in this case, and I'm going to say as a predicate, there were no orders for you not to look at anything. I'm not suggesting any impropriety. But because you were involved in this case and issues regarding the taillight, do you think you had a particular interest when things like this came on TV and social media to take a look to compare it to your memory?
Did I have a
Yes.
particular interest? No, I didn't. I didn't follow this case
But you've seen this many, many times.
because of what is out there on social media and the news.
I understand. Who's way this way? Turn this sound down. Thank you. Stop, please. Do you see that white part of the back rear right taillight? Objection.
I'm going to allow it.
You see that? Sir?
Can you zoom in a little bit more? I can.
You can or cannot?
I can.
You can. C-A-N can?
Yes.
Thank you. Continue, please. Continue. Stop it. Can you bring it back, Mr. Stone? Back more. Open, right there. Zoom, please. You see, sir?
I can see that.
Is that consistent with the damage that you saw when you looked at that Lexus in Dayton hours later?
Consistent.
Can we go to Exhibit 10, please? And before you show it, I have a couple questions. This was a snowstorm, kind of like a blizzard that day.
Yes.
And when you got to the driveway, it had not been shoveled or plowed.
Correct.
There was quite a bit of snow accumulating and ongoing.
Yes.
And there was snow coming down on top of everything, the ground, the streets, the cars, correct?
Correct.
And snow was accumulating, did you notice, on cars and packing onto cars?
Yes.
When you looked at this house, when you looked at the defendant's Lexus in Dayton, you didn't go over and scoop out any of the snow that was in that broken taillight, did you?
I did not.
You didn't try to remove any snow off it or that was accumulated inside of it?
I did not.
And the snow there was snow packed on that car, wasn't there?
There was.
There was snow packed around the light, wasn't it?
There was.
And would you agree with the snow, since you didn't tamper with it or try to remove anything, that could impede your ability to accurately observe the depth of the damage? Would you agree with that?
I would.
If we could have Exhibit 10, please. Does that appear to be the same Lexus you looked at when it was in Dayton? And it's a far view, so I don't want you to guess. If you're not sure, you can tell me.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I can't.
Okay, we have Exhibit 11, please. Can you take a look to the right? You see that right tail light, the white part?
I can.
Missing, yes?
Looks like snow is packed on it.
Does it look like there's a red tail light there?
Does not.
This is before you saw the car in Dayton? Do you know that, or you wouldn't know that?
That doesn't look like the Reed's driveway.
Do you know if this photograph was taken before or after you made your observations in Dayton?
I do not.
The right rear tail light and the missing parts there, is that consistent with what you saw around 3:27 on January 29, 2022?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Lights on, please, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll be brief. Sergeant,